Good morning and hello. So today what are we doing? I'm going to show you guys how to wet sand. Let's go take a look. So we've seen from our previous videos that we got the clear coat on. We've let this cure for well over 24. I think this is actually the only spot I even sprayed it correctly. Let's see. A lot heavier. So we're going to start back here. This is where we're going to start with our clear coating, our wet sanding. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to start with the 600. We're going to start with the 600 grit. They're going to move to an 800 grit. 1,500? 1,000? I don't remember. 800. 1,500. 2,000. And we're going to finish with 3,000. But I'm going to show you guys just how to wet sand. We're going to start with just the 600. We'll go from there. Fairly simple. First, you got to get yourself some sandpaper. And now this is just 600. Waterproof, so it can be wet or dry sanded. Now we're going to do this transom. I've already sanded on it a little bit. We're going to do a little bit more. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to do an area here. Alright, so this is actually the area we're going to be sanding. It's right in here. Real simple. We're going to take our wet sandpaper. Now, two things you can do here is you can soak this in water overnight, okay? Or you can take a spray bottle with some soap in it and just spray the area that you're going to do. Now, I wet my paper too. Wet the paper. Put that down. Just even pressure. Just move in a solid direction. Now, you're not trying to sand it all off. You're just trying to sand a little bit. All we're doing is we're going to be smoothing out this surface to get rid of this orange peel. And it is a little tricky. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can use a... I'm going to cut this real quick. Smaller. I'm going to cut mine. I like it a little smaller. Ooh, I think my hands are dirty. Just kind of re-wet everything. Okay, that's better. Wow, today is really not working out for me. There we go. Okay. Okay, so that's that. And that's pretty much it. So, once you have done that on your entire vessel, you will start with the 600, or as I'm doing 600. You'll move up to the 800, okay? Then you'll move up to the 1,500, and then the 1,000. And then I'm going to move up to the 3,000. Now, the 3,000 is actually a stick-on sanding discs. Let's see. So it's actually discs, and it's got hook and loop. So I think I took it downstairs. So then I'll move it to the 3,000. That should remove the orange peel, give a nice, flat, smooth-looking, slick surface, and then from there you can polish and buff. I have been told that you should not, if you do this correctly, and you have sprayed your gel and your clear coat correctly, you should not have to wax. Once I get this all sanded down, though, and I go through all these grits, which will probably take the better part of all day, sanding by hand is actually a lot of work. prefer, but that is how you wet sand. And when we come back, I will have we go polishing.
So one thing that you do want to do here is you want to make sure that you're going to start with a nice clean area. Go ahead and take a microfiber towel and just go ahead and wipe your surface off there. That'll remove any debris or anything else that might have fallen in there. You definitely don't want to try to use your rubbing compound or polishing compound with foreign material in there. It will just create more swirl marks and take a longer time to try to perfect everything. But go ahead and take your rubbing compound, which can either be applied to the pad or you can put it directly on the surface you're going to go ahead and start rubbing. What I did with that, as you can see, is I put it actually on the boat itself, and then I rubbed it in with a microfiber towel. Later on, I found it a lot easier just to go ahead and put it on the actual rubbing pad. Created a lot less waste. So once you've applied it, you kind of let it sit for just 10 seconds or so. Go ahead and start using your pad, and you just want to go in a back and forth motion, moving very, slowly over. You don't want to move too slow, because what you can actually do is burn your gel coat. And what I mean by burning is that you will actually burn a yellow coloration into it that you will damage the actual coat. And unfortunately, I did do this in one particular area. However, it happened to be below the water line, so I didn't worry about it too much. But you just kind of want to try to work smooth and steady and work in your areas. And it's kind of hard to tell from the actual lighting of this, but you can see when your rubbing compound is actually being rubbed off and the surface that it's leaving behind. Instead of a dull surface that you get from when you're sanding, you'll kind of have a little bit of a brighter, a shinier surface, and it'll really, really shine once everything's been wiped down with a microfiber towel. Well, once you're finished, just go ahead and wipe the excess off there, and it's always best to kind of do like the Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. That's W-A-X, not the other one. And in that sense, it will kind of remove any excess, and it will kind of, the microfiber itself kind of acts almost as a rubbing pad in that, and it can help kind of bring out even a further luster. You know, if you want to go over it more than once or twice, that's completely acceptable. I do believe that even though edited through this, I did kind of go over this section about 3 or 4 times just to make sure I didn't miss any spots, and kind of gave it a thorough rubbing. Now, the actual setting on the polisher there, I want to say that went up to 7, and I think I had it at about 4 or 5. It'll kind of vary on how big your project is, what types of pads you're using. You do want to stay away from the really, really high settings. Like you said, just enough that you can see the rubbing compound working, but not fast enough to burn and actually dry the surface out. And here we can see this is what happens after it's been rubbed. You can really see that there's a lot of shine there already. A lot of the blemishes are gone from the actual sanding, and a lot more of that will come out with the polishing compound. As you can see, the dull, and then we go back to the shiny there. Right now we're going to switch pads, and we're going to go ahead and go into the polishing compound. It is to the same principle, but on this one I actually put it on the pad. As you can see, it's a lot less waste, a little bit more control, and it was pretty much about the same speed as the rubbing compound. But once again, you do want to go in a back and forth motion, and you just want to have even pressure on it. You don't want to move too fast, but you don't want to move too slow, because too fast you're really not doing anything in that area, and then too slow it gives you the potential for it to dry and actually, burn your gel coat. And if you do burn it, you will know, because it'll have this real funky smell, and you'll have a streak of yellow, and you will actually burn through the gel coat. Well, once again, just be thorough and take your time. One thing to note, though, is that you definitely want to do this when the temperatures are above 50 degrees. And I think most of the compounds that I used, it actually did state on those bottles that do not let freeze and use above 50 degrees. And it kind of, I guess, keeps it from solidifying and keeps it more of a liquid and less likely to burn or damage the actual paint job or gel coat of your vessel. But, once everything's been polished, go ahead and give it a wipe down with a new microfiber towel, because you don't want to be putting rubbing compound on your polishing compound that you just wiped off. And just make sure you give it a good thorough rub. And once again, this will even help with the polishing, kind of bring out a lot more luster, and it should really, really enhance the shine.